Oh, hello everybody. It's been a while. Quite a while. Really, it's been 4 years since I've talked on the channel, made like any video where I actually spoke. Because granted, like 4 months ago and about a month ago, I put out some smaller content, but didn't have my voice. Uh, if you don't remember who I am, or you don't know who I am for whatever reason, hi. I made Dark Souls 3 content uh, a long time ago. Going on like more than 5 years now from when like Dark Souls 3 had come out. Man, remember the days of Dark Souls 3? Who remembers Dark Souls 3? So partially at the behest of one of my close friends, uh, I thought I'd do like a not so much a channel update, but just chat. I guess a life update. I'm trying my hardest not to call it an update because I used to do like channel updates a long time ago when I used to do like let's plays of games, and it's like, oh, here's what plans I got going on for this, and it'd be like update, and just I I loathe the thought, and like I loathe the thought of calling it an update. So I think maybe just with less of a stigma around it of being like, oh, it's a content update. It's just a general life update. I'm gonna chat and just talk about where I've been, what I've been doing, if anybody's interested. I'm probably not gonna have anything too interesting playing in the background. I intend for this to just sort of be something like kind of like a mini podcast in a way. So you can go ahead and stick me on in the background while you're playing, whatever. That'd be cool. Part of the reason for this as well came from Dang It Jim's recent like life update video he did, and I don't really actively watch him, but I do like him and I appreciate him and his work. But it was nice. It's something about just being real and just talking. I like it. I like that form of content, even through like Twitch, which has become kind of like my main source of anything that I'm watching anymore. I don't have cable because I mean, cable's not really that interesting nowadays, is it? Everybody's moving over to streaming. But Twitch is my cable. I have Turbo, unfortunately, which just means I don't have to deal with any of the ads that pops up for like $11 a month or whatever. It's worth it enough. But Twitch has become my main source of content that I watch, and I watch a lot of streamers that they tend to either stop or they take like an entire hour or two before they actually even start playing the game. Like a few people I could say are inspirations in regards to that, or people that enjoy watching that do that, are like Peeve, excessive profanity, people like that. It's like, sure, you're there for the gameplay, of course, but if you like the streamer enough, you'll just hear him talk and rant about, whatever. So it's enjoyable. So doing something like this is it'll be cathartic in its own way, I surmise. But yeah, as I said, I wanted to keep this as like a general life update, and there will be some talk about moving forward with the channel later on. I have a very rough set of notes here, like a guideline that I want to follow, but I'm sure I'll talk at length about each subject and whatnot. And again, I hope y'all enjoy the tiny little podcast thing at the very least. All right, so what have I been up to for the past 4 some years that I didn't want to upload anything? Well, I had 2 really terrible jobs. Uh, I guess I should start with those. For a little less than a year, almost a year, I worked at a healthcare center it's about like a 3-minute drive down the road from where I live. I live in a rural area, but there's there's a whole neighborhood community, like a minute and a half walk from my house. But there's a main road that sees a lot of traffic and a huge intersection. So it's like I live sort of off that. But otherwise, there's a farm down the road. There are people that own donkeys, chickens. It's a rural area, but with big roads all through it. But I used to work at this healthcare center. It was a rehab and wellness center, rehabilitation. So people on drugs or old or have dementia would go there, and it really tainted my whole thought of senior caring places and stuff like that. Because when you work at one and then you hear about a lot of the other ones, it makes you realize that it's such a flawed and shitty program just to begin with. Because for one thing, they're always understaffed. They never have enough help in every department, whether that's cooking and cleaning or nurses and aides. It's never enough people to care for all of these people. The one I worked at, there were 24 rooms to a floor. There were generally 2 people to a room. For some of them, like towards the back ends of the hall, it'd be single person living rooms. It really had the feeling of like maybe it was like long-term hospital in a way. How it felt, I guess it was set up. I suppose. But there's never enough help for all these people that need it. Everything is just terribly run down and bad condition. Morale is piss poor. There's never enough money to actually fund these places. And most of that just ends up going towards the owners, like the one that I worked at. They were there's these 2 Jewish guys, and they looked nicer than really anything else in the building. It was a real fucking shame. And they were apparently the original owners when I had started there some 4 years ago or whatever. It's like it was some different owners. There was a nice like neon sign or just nice lit up sign outside in the front. And then whenever the original owners came back and took over the place again, they changed the name, and rightfully so. They changed the sign, and they went as cheap as they possibly could. It was just a like tin sign with the name on it. It was really, really fucking pathetic. But I worked as housekeeping there, so cleaning the rooms and such. Generally, I got to the point where I was only working on the second floor, which were people who were there long term and people who were there just for the time being. It really depended on the person. There were 3 floors to the building. There was the first floor, which was rehab and rehabilitation, and people going in and out and in and out and in and out. The second floor, like I just said, long term, and people who will be there for a bit, but they'll be out eventually. And then third floor for people who have like dementia and just are not well and will probably be there for, in some cases, the rest of their lives, unfortunately, in such a place like that. Really, really a shame. But I worked as housekeeping for a little less than a year. Trudging up bad memories of that place, just working there. I don't like to talk about the healthcare center a lot, because I was pretty miserable, and I mean the reason I quit my job there is because I knew a lot of people there that I got to know in that time that I worked there, because I had a bad habit of caring. I guess I can think of it, because they want you to keep up on a schedule. They want you to move to room to room to room, clean all this stuff, clean piss and shit. And sometimes it's just all over the place, depending on the resident and if they couldn't control themselves. Food all over the floor, just mess after mess. And it's like, even when you finish one mess, like some 10 to 20 minutes later, the room that you cleaned prior there will be more messes in it. And it's like, you can't keep up on that. And so the kind of schedule that I'd like to do is I'd like to do specific things in the morning, because I started around 6 a.m. That also fucking sucked, being up that early. Some days I even had to walk into work, leave the house at like 5:30 or so, and then get myself ready. And sure, it's like a 3-minute drive there from my house. It's about like a 30-minute walk. So I got my steps in, to be fair, but man, it was kind of miserable walking to work, dew in my beard, and then just being exhausted by the time I get there, especially if it's like during the summer. God help me during the winter. But I had my mom drive me when I was still living with her for a good majority of it, but there were days when she was just like, no, fuck you, fend for yourself. We have a much better relationship now, but I'm sure some people here know how it is with like living with your parents, and they're just like, could you please just get out or be productive or something? And I wasn't very productive. I mean, I was about like 19 to 20 during that year. So it's like I was kind of fresh out of, high school. I finished up with high school with a online courses, because the school that I was going to were doing constructions just on the roofing, and that brought out a lot of dust in my junior year in 11th grade. And I have terrible asthma. It's been much better in recent years, to the point that I don't use my inhaler that often at all. Like the last time I used it, I want to say was maybe, it might have been like a month ago, but even then I don't use it for maybe 2 to 4 months at max at a time. But that's just because of my current position, and I'll get to that, of course. But working that job, getting to know all these people, and it really kind of hit me and it's really a shame how somebody so nice can be turned into something that brings you kind of sadness and dread when you think about them, because of the memory you have with them. To get straight to the point, I was cleaning one of the rooms, and there was this guy who was there for a good bit, who was like, he wanted to turn his life around, and I'm not sure exactly what his condition was, but he didn't have like full control over his body, but he wanted to like live life anew, and just he wanted to work in the building even. And I told that to some of my coworkers, and they had laughed, and I was naive, but I was like, if that's what he wanted to do, then there's no reason to stop him. But he was one of the first people that I'd see in the morning. And the one morning I'm getting his trash, and he's not really moving or saying anything. And sometimes, he'd do that anyway, because it was really early in the morning, and he'd always have his TV on. And I looked up, and I looked at him, and I stared, and so I realized he had died. I found him dead. And I did I laugh about this part, which, I mean, it's morbid in its own regard. I laugh at this part about I start like shaking, and I step back and I go, "Oh my god!" like it's some movie line or something. And I slowly walk out of the room, and I go up to one of the aides, and I am very visibly upset, and I'm just like, the guy, I remember his name at least, but I won't say it. Yeah, I'm like, I think he's dead. And so they rush in, and they're like, we just seen him like an hour ago at most, and he was still fine. And we gave him his medication, and yeah, that's not a memory I like to think about a lot. But when I think about healthcare centers, that's one of the things that comes up, and it really doesn't make me feel good. And I feel bad that I have to associate, finding somebody dead like that, associate him being such a nice guy and always nice to me. Everybody was really always nice to me there, because I was, a young kid in I was 19, 20. So I was the youngest person on staff, just about. There was somebody who was like half a year younger than me. She was nice. She worked at a laundry downstairs. I hope she's doing well. She had a kid on the way. Wonder how she's doing. Probably well. Hopefully she's still not working there. But yeah, that was the first. That was the first thing that just with that place that made me not feel great. And then moving forward, just more people that I knew, and just seeing people every day. And I would talk to people as opposed to doing my job. Like I said, I had a bad habit of not doing my job, and instead just talking to people. And it's like that's something that they need, and they're not essentially getting from like some of the other residents or the aides. Just somebody to talk to, somebody to listen to. And it's like by all means, I like doing that. I like talking to these people and getting to know them. They were very nice. Even listening to their gripes, it's like, I understand, I get it. And it's like, even then, you just need somebody to listen. Because, it wasn't a great place. It was in bad condition. But the longer I was there, the more people I got to know, the more people passed away. There was a really big guy, like really, really big guy, like 400 plus pounds, in a wheelchair. And he was a mess. He made messes every day, and it's like he didn't take super good care of himself. And at one point, he had gone to the hospital for about a week, and then he had come back, and you can only take it he got it from the hospital, because like how else would this have happened? He got gangrene, and if you don't know what gangrene is, it's when pus fills your limbs. In his case, it was his leg. And that is quite the cause for amputation. And in which I remember, too, the day he had come back, and then the following days after, he was... And I'm very sorry, but I got to come straight out with it. You might be inclined to skip a little bit forward. I'll try to make this fast. He just started oozing all over his bed and his mattress, to the point that I personally had to take the shit mattress covered in all the stuff myself and take that and bring that down after I disinfected it with bleach, which technically a facility like that should not have bleach. Because bleach isn't always good. Especially if it gets on your skin. So yeah, I had to drag that mattress, very heavy mattress. I am not super, super strong. Drag that mattress myself all the way out to the dumpster. That sucked. And, eventually he got his leg amputated, and I talked to him like a few weeks after the fact, and he just looked miserable. He was out in the hall. I was talking to him for a minute as I was, I think, sweeping the floor or something, and talk about him driving a car again, maybe, and that probably wouldn't have happened. And I think we were talking Burger King, like, oh, I'll get Burger King or whatever. I was like, oh, would you get me some Burger King? It's like, if I knew how to drive. And if I had a vehicle to even do it. And I remember this so clearly too, the way he looked. He looked really just done, and he told me he had said, I'm not going to leave this place. I'm going to die here. And trying to be like, motivational and uplifting, because I mean, who's going to say, yeah, you're going to die here? I'm like, no, you're not going to die here. You're going to get out of here. Just got to be motivated, and keep up on yourself, take care of yourself. Well, he ended up he ended up getting something with his other leg. I don't think it was gangrene, but gout maybe. I don't know. But it was to the point that he was going to lose his other leg, and he gave up. He was like, "No, I'm not gonna do that." And I think it was there was a point in which I was gone for a few days, and I'd come back, and he was gone, and it was very sad. I mean, before that point, I'd never seen somebody just give up on life and just say, I'm done. He wasn't even, I don't even think he was 40, or like he was like early 40s. He was like, I'm done. And still to this day, I don't quite understand the thought process on that, because how can you just give up on living? I mean, you get to that point, I guess, but I still don't understand it. I hope I don't understand it, to be honest. It's not good. But the culmination of that, another guy who I knew, he was very nice, always very nice to me. He liked to stack cups. He had a big stack of cups in the corner of his room. I go into his room the one day, and I'm like, oh, where's this guy? And he's like, oh, he was in hospice. He's dead. I'm like, excuse you? I never even knew he was in hospice. He never looked that bad. I think he had a cancer of some kind. But past that point, it's like I started really questioning, like, I'm miserable here. There's really nothing good here for me. And like, I'm still very young. I don't think this is a place I should really be working in that has, so much death and so much sadness. And it got to the point where I had a panic attack, and I'd only had one other panic attack in my life at that time. And I had a panic attack trying to tell one of my my boss at the time, who was just a stand-in boss who was going to eventually leave that place and go on somewhere else until they found somebody to replace him for that place. I told him about how, I wanted to quit, and I told him my issues I was having and just how I felt miserable and depressed, and it just wasn't great. And he acted like he understood, but he clearly really didn't, because whenever I left on my last day, I said bye to everybody, and he talked at me about being a better worker. It's like, dude, I don't care. I'm leaving now. I learned that lesson eventually, to do better work, but just be a better worker. Because I mean, I was 19, 20. I keep saying that, but it's like not that many people that young have such a great work ethic, I feel. But it's like, I'm leaving, and that's not what I needed to hear. Be a better worker, do better. And I heard that from two people. Him, and then a coworker who had really hated me after I thought somebody had moved stuff out of my closet, and I thought it was somebody in specific, and it wasn't. and I apologized to them, and this coworker got so mad at me that just she stopped being friendly, and she just hated me. I feel really bad for her, because I bet she's still working there. I can only feel, at this point, I can only peel. I like a banana. I can only peel, dude. I can only feel sympathy and pity, because I know she's still working there in laundry, and she's miserable. It was a very long start to the many things I still have to talk about, though. But I guess it'll lead into other things, I suppose. Let's move on. So for the past 3 years, then, I moved on to working at the same school district that my cousin Rachel worked at for a while. And it was actually the same district that we went to school together, in middle school and then high school. And I was working at the middle school. And so I got to see, some of my old teachers. It was nice. And I worked there as a custodian, essentially a janitor. It's just slightly different terms. I think a custodian, if I remember right, watches grounds and takes care of grounds, while a janitor is just a generalized cleaner. So it's really not that much of a difference. It's just slight job tweakings. But I worked there for about 3 years. And I eventually realized that I didn't like cleaning as much as I liked. I found myself with not much time, or I felt like I didn't really have any time to actually commit to any projects, because how my work schedule was is I went in at 3 and I got off 3 p.m. and I got off at 11:30 p.m. Though whenever the pandemic hit, we started coming in half an hour later, so that way we wouldn't interact with the students, which was really just we're going to keep the custodians separate from the students, because one of them had gotten sick and was also a bus driver. So it was more of a segregation of us than, us from the children. Because that place is also very understaffed in regards to its cleaning staff. And they're always in need of people. They have substitute custodians that'll come in. Though I doubt they actually have anybody really subbing at this point. I haven't heard anything good, and they're so understaffed, and so many people are retiring now. And it's like they're in a really bad position, which just means more overtime and more overtime. But they can't commit to all that overtime, so it's like, well, you have to finish everything in your shift in that 7.5 hours or so, or you're gonna get in trouble, despite the fact that it's our fault we don't have the ability to get enough people in here to actually staff it properly. So all these people are doing overtime after overtime every single night. I was never in a position, because I always generally turn down overtime. I think I picked up overtime maybe 4 times in my 3 years there. I didn't find it interesting or cool to go ahead and stay after, even for the time and a half extra pay to earn a little bit more money each month. And I got paid every month, which also sucked. So, I'd have to be mindful of my spendings. But I really realized that I didn't want to work there when I started thinking, because before working at the healthcare center, I worked with years back. I worked with my dad with his little own tiny commercial cleaning company, and we cleaned together, and it was fun. It was nice. It was very late at night, so we never saw anybody. And it was nice working with him. If I could go back to then and just clean with him again, I don't think I would. But just to be able to hang out with him and have a common goal like that, I guess. It was nice in that way. But my dad, he got tired of cleaning, and the people who he cleaned for disrespected him many, many times. Like great example, there was this office he cleaned at a police station. And the people back in the offices would put staples in the carpet and then complain if he didn't get all the staples out of the carpet. This is a thing that happened. People wonder why, for one thing, police are held in such little regard. They just disrespected him. They weren't nice to him. They never, wished him a happy holiday. It was like the little things that mattered to him in that regard, and especially too considering the staples. But that's any police related stuff. That is a conversation not for today, and that we're not going to get into. But I realized that I'm like as unhappy as my dad was with cleaning now, and my schedule was terrible. So like I said, with the pandemic, which really intensified all the cleaning we had to do, and it made people complain more because it's like, well, I can't get to this because we have to wipe down every single surface every single night, and with all the cases popping up too, and they really did not want to close their doors for any longer than they had to. I think we got maybe like 2 to 3 months of pay while being off while the building was closed, or the school district. But like they really wanted us back in, and they never closed again, which was really unfortunate because they still had cases just popping up everywhere. So they had us coming in at 3:30 p.m. and then we would leave at midnight. And I would sometimes get a ride home from somebody who was driving on the way, which that's a 15-minute walk, which I walk to work every single day just about, when I didn't get a ride very rarely. Maybe like once a month I would maybe get a ride to work. It really depended on who was around. Whether it was my cousin Rachel, who also worked there, or what have you. But I walk to work every day, so that's pretty good on my part, and like I felt really good about it too. Getting exercise in, and then getting my steps in, exercising, so to speak, with actually working there, and always trying to be on the move and have this schedule and make sure I get everything cleaned at this pace. And it's like, if I'm behind on this time, then I'm gonna have to do some really quick cleaning on some of the other stuff. And it got to the point, especially too, with wiping down all the surfaces. And I mean all of the surfaces, every single counter, every single telephone, every single pencil sharpener. They gave us a list at one point, but people stopped following that and stopped marking it up. And it was a really fucking huge waste of paper. Because there are, I want to say 6 buildings in that district. The high school, middle school, and then 3 or 4 elementary schools, if I remember right, sprinkled throughout the entire district. It's weird, but that's how it is. But it's like you just fell behind on everything if you tried to clean every single thing. And not to mention too, the place that I worked, because I worked between the middle school, and then I would walk through the parking lot and then go to the elementary school right next door. So I had 2 sections. I had 2 separate cleaning carts to use for each building. And the teachers over in the elementary school, which is the only building that I actually had any classrooms to clean, a good portion of them were just extremely disrespectful. There was this one who she left things in her sink in her room for like the entire year. Like they had cake one day, and she just left the cake knives and just these mugs and coffee mugs and cups just in the sink, and it got so disgusting and dirty. I hated her. But the best part of her room is she would spray on the floor with shaving cream, happy birthday to whatever kid whose birthday it was. And the saving grace with this is I knew when the birthdays were coming up because they were posted on one of the walls. But she would do that for the birthdays. And I talked to her personally. I was like, hey, Could you maybe, not spray here? Like on the floor? Because what would happen is you leave shaving cream on the floor and there's an outline that gets stuck there. And no matter how hard you clean it with whatever chemical, unless you get a floor buffing machine in there, that is not coming up until the entire room is cleaned and deep cleaned in the summer. And she understood, because I talked to my coworkers, I talked to my boss, and nothing had come of it. When I talked to my boss, he was like, yeah, I'll talk to her. And I was like, I'm just going to take matters in my own hands. I was like, hey, could you like spray it on the desk? I think that would be infinitely better. Or just, clean it up yourself maybe. At the end of the day. Like, just sweep it up. You don't have to spray it or anything. Just sweep it up. Like, it can't stay there. Or put it on a piece of paper or something. I don't know. Anything. Big sheet paper. She listened for maybe a month, and then she went back to spraying on the floor. And oh my God. So disrespectful. She was so disrespectful. I don't hate many people on this planet, but and I mean hate. Because I can dislike somebody, I can really not like somebody. I mean, I personally knew them, and I hate them. I hated this woman. She was so disrespectful towards anybody who cleaned her room. Because she gave no shits. And that was a lot of the teachers there. Some of them were, nice and decent. But really, what it came down to was, oh, well, we don't have to clean it up because the custodian will get it. We're there to clean. We are not there to clean up your mess. Messes will happen. Accidents will happen. You do it intentionally. You leave it there. You're being a dickhead and a piece of shit. So to come from this, all I have to say is please treat the cleaning staff wherever you work at, or just even wherever you visit. Just please consider them. It's not that hard. Make their job easier. It's not a very difficult job. Cleaning isn't terribly tough. But when you have people scrutinizing you not cleaning stuff up right and complaining when they made the mess in the first place to try to get you in trouble, same with my dad with the staples in the carpet, it's like I'm trying all that I can do and you are setting me up to fail. And even when I would personally try to improve myself and get better at cleaning because I want to do better and I don't want to make my bosses watch me and have to worry about me. It's even when I tried to do better, and I desperately tried and I busted my ass to the point I was having asthma issues, it still wasn't enough. It was never enough. And that's what I came to the conclusion of with cleaning. It was never ever enough. When you're cleaning for somebody, it will never ever be good enough. Ever. Which is, at least in a professional capacity, it's very unfortunate, but. So, I got to a point in which one of my bosses had gotten on me when I had to clean a building during winter break by myself, take out huge multiple bags of trash throughout the entire building. I don't know if you understand that. I had to clean an entire elementary school by myself over the course of, I think, 3 days I had, maybe. 2 or 3 days. I had to clean an entire elementary school, from them celebrating and getting food and shit all over the floor to confetti and whatever, and then all the wrapping, which just added a ton of trash. We did summer cleaning as well, and that generates a lot of fucking trash. I would say it was maybe half as bad as the summer trash that needs taken out, which is abysmal, to the point of just the two giant garbage bins that are out there in the parking lot would just be fucking filled to the brim with shit during the summer. And it's yeah, one guy is going to clean all of this during the winter. And granted, at least because they were off on break, there wasn't any new messes being made. But even still, I was left with the responsibility of doing this all by myself because my 2 other coworkers who worked the building with me were off and they were on vacation, or they had gotten sick. So it was unfair to me. I had no help at all. Which just goes to show, again, they were very understaffed. Cleaning is very understaffed. That's the prime message here. I don't know if you're realizing. But I tried and I tried, and there was a point in which one of my friends, he was doing really bad. He had really bad depression, and I was talking to him and I was trying to message him while I was doing this cleaning. And so that was partially why I was behind, because I was concerned with his well-being. And so why I got behind on some of this stuff and with that cleaning, and why it didn't look as great as it could have, and they complained and whatnot. And I don't like lying, so I just told them. I told one of my bosses, because that place has 3 bosses. It used to have 1, but then they decided, what if we just hire 3 people though? I don't know how they thought that would save money, but it didn't, because you're paying for 3 people to do one guy's job, and they don't even do it good. Really, really funny. But anyway, I don't like lying, so I just told my boss outright that one of my friends struggles with depression, and I was talking to them while I was cleaning. In addition to that, because of my asthma, I was having trouble taking out all this trash by myself and trying to keep up a fast pace so that I could clean an entire elementary school. And all the rewards and glories of heaven would not even have been enough to please them there with the amount of cleaning that somebody could do, because it never was. And so I got in trouble for that, for trying to care about my friend. The guy literally told me I would not leave work early if my wife was in a bad situation. And like, are you unhappy in your marriage? How much does your wife hate you? like to try to justify me not doing a good job, even though I was working by myself cleaning an entire building, for him to be like, yeah, I would not help my wife out, I would not leave early. Like, that's such bullshit. Like, he said, if my wife was in an accident or if she went to the hospital, I would not leave work early. Like, what a fucking psycho. What a guy. So, from that point on, he had said, we're going to watch you. We're going to make sure you're cleaning right. And within the next day, that night, I talked to my dad because I was very upset. He's a truck driver and he lives in Florida, so he's all over the place. I live in Pennsylvania, FYI. I talked to him, and I was thinking about it for a while, like, I don't like this job. And like, at this point, it's like, it's stressing me out so much. By that point, I had 2 panic attacks there. And earlier I had said I had 1 panic attack when I was a teen, before the healthcare center, and I had 1 at the healthcare center. Now at my job, and by the time I ended it, I had, I think, 3 or 4 panic attacks throughout, the 3 years I worked there. That's not healthy. That's not healthy at all. And my dad gave me the idea that I should find, some other kind of work. And he always pushed me to, do my own thing and not be under, somebody's like thumb, like that's watching me so closely. Because one thing I've never liked is somebody watching me while I work. I don't want the stress of, are you doing your job right? Are you doing it right? You're missing a thing there. This technique is incorrect. I've never liked that. Just let me do my thing. You can review it after, and then I will change it. Do not watch me. I will improve. Do not watch me. But he said I should try to think of something that I'm good at that I can turn into a job, that I can make money off somehow. And I thought about it. And I thought, well, when I had the time, before I felt like I didn't have any time, I liked editing a lot. And I thought, okay, well, I've seen people like with, my idea came from, watching people who edited for Germa. I was like, well, I could become an editor. I could edit for, content creators on like Twitch or YouTube. And within that week, I started pursuing working for creators. And as of now, as of almost last year at this point, it was early August. Yeah, early August, mid-August, if I remember correctly. As of this time, it's been almost a year that I've been working solely as a full-time editor. And I'm much happier. I had one panic attack related to work, but that was just a very stressful situation. That the communication wasn't great, and the person I was working for, I was having issues with back and forth sending project files, and I got very overwhelmed. So it was stressful, but it was overwhelming, and it won't happen again because of the nature of how the project was being worked on, because we were sending stuff back and forth. We were both working on these videos, and it was like I said, it was overwhelming. But yeah, I got some people that I've been working for, and I'm a lot happier. I have time for myself, I feel. Just to name a few people that I've worked for that are highbrow. Jerp, he did I feel like he was more well known back in like Dark Souls 2, and like I even remember seeing some of his stuff back in Dark Souls 2, but I didn't really watch him before I started working with him. I don't know. It's how it goes, isn't it? You put out your tendrils, you try to find work with people, and once you actually start doing work for them, like, of course you're going to start watching them. That only makes sense, and then you start enjoying their content. Because in a way, you're forced to. But I've worked for him. He was actually my first client that I ever worked for. So very big ups to him. And I can't thank him enough for giving me a head start, because he gave me a lot of work to start myself out. And seriously, I cannot be thankful enough that I had the opportunity to start then. And I started working with him the month after I decided that I'm going to quit my job as soon as I can that following summer. And I worked as an editor that summer, and I had savings, and I was like, nah, I'm done. I'm out. And that's how that went. Just recently, I've been working for Inferno Plus. Some of y'all may have heard of him. He's kind of he's not really well known. I was working on Elden Ring highlights for him from his streams for his first playthrough. And just recently, I finally had the privilege and a dream of mine, actually, to be able to work with them. I started editing for Peeverson, the Yee guy. and I couldn't be happier. I'm going to have a lot of work coming my way, I hope, just even outside of Elden Ring related things. I'm very excited about that. And I also worked for a guy called Future Man Gaming. He has a very, very nice vibe about him. He's very excitable. And he has a really cool style to his Twitch streams. And I've been really happy working with him as well, because I can be pretty expressive with my work. But those are just some of the more well-known people that I've been working for. I'd be remiss not to mention Axiom. I don't think he'd be watching this, but if he is, much love. He provided me with by far the most amount of work, the most bang for my buck, so to speak. And he gives me complete freedom to do whatever the fuck I want, just so long as it's funny. So I can't thank him enough. But just to name a few. So yeah, I've been much happier. I've been feeling a lot better working full-time editing, as opposed to going into work every day, having a set schedule. Which I should say too, having a free schedule does not mean it's all great what it's cracked up to be. Because having all the time in the world means you have all the time in the world to also be as lazy as you want and not have motivation to do still much of anything. Which is why, like, only within the past 4 months, I finally, did a few YouTube things. Not a lot, but I did some. But yeah, good times, happy times, fun stuff. So the first 50 minutes was about about talking about work things. Hopefully it wasn't too rambly. I have a bad habit of rambling. But I like to think that I'm really good at talking with people, because I can talk to people like I'm an old woman who just doesn't stop talking, and I keep people in conversations. I keep people interested in talking for long periods of time. I have that kind of effect on me. What can I say? I can hold a conversation pretty well, I feel. Even if talking to myself in this capacity is just rambling. Hopefully it's been interesting so far, but I still have more things that I want to talk about that probably shouldn't take as much time, because it's less backstory about where I've been, what I've been doing in that regard, and more current time things and moving forward and whatnot. But aside from, editing, I've also been streaming on Twitch fairly often, just playing random stuff, playing like Elden Ring, and played a lot of Dark Souls 2. Haven't played Dark Souls 2 in a minute, but played a lot of Dark Souls 2. Back in Dark Souls 3, I did a run inspired by Inferno Plus's The Wrong Souls, which for his, it was him and his friends would choose Final Fantasy job classes, and then go through the world in multiplayer in like New Game Plus at like low level as they try to level up, and just try to make their way through the game like as a group. And I was like, that's interesting. I want to do something like that for me, like Dark Souls 3. And so I did a Dungeons and Dragons Dark Souls 3 run with two of my viewers and friends. And that was a lot of fun. One of my friends was like a fighter, and he used fighty weapons. I'm trying to think. I don't quite remember. I think he had a sword and a shield, or he might have, or he had twin blades or something. Two weapons. I don't remember. I don't quite remember. My other friend was a witch, and did sorceries and whatnot. And then me, I was the dedicated healer. So the intention with the run was no healing items, no mosses, no Estus, and all of the heals come from me, the cleric. So we had some good times. By far the hardest and best fight would definitely have to be Midir in the DLC. We took I want to say maybe like over an hour to do that fight, because what it came down to was them really focusing, and like I would throw some lightning spears, but them doing DPS and me essentially doing like how a healer job plays in Final Fantasy 14, where it's like you're focusing on healing, but you also want to focus on DPS when you're not healing. And so that's how it was when we were fighting like Midir and some of the other bosses too. It was a lot of fun. It was so much fun making our way through the levels. It was really good. And with the advent of the seamless co-op mod, I look forward to doing a D&D run in Elden Ring, especially since that'll be an open world. And as of right now, I have the thought, and I think I want to go through with it because I think it'll add some appreciation to how big the world is. I don't want anybody to ride Torrent. I don't think Torrent is going to be allowed during that run. So we'll just try to appreciate the world and move through it with builds like that. And I'm going to be going back to being a healer again. My current backstory I have for this healer is a perfumer, like from Lane Dell. And they have like a wide variety of different like healing incantations, and since they're well traveled, they're a perfumer who's been on the road for a long while. They found lots of other incantations, so I'll have like a mix of like rot related things, or no, not rot. The pests, pests, like pest incantations. So like poison. I'll use some like pots, and I'll be very crafty in a lot of my stuff. Because I'll be providing like back support, and also especially healing, of course, during fights. Which I don't know if a lot of y'all realize or have thought about it. Aside from the preserving boluses, which I believe are the rot cure boluses. So if you're rotted, take one of those. It's like rot moss. You get healed of your rot. Aside from that and the one incantation, Flame Cleanse Me, there is no other way to heal rot. And even then, boluses you use on yourself. You eat it yourself. Flame Cleanse Me, you use on yourself. So there is actually no way to heal rot if you are not able to use it yourself. And so for this run, it'll actually make rot extremely scary. And, a fucking threat. And I'm sure everybody's mind went to the Lake of Rot. That was my first thought as well. And then I realized, oh fuck, you can't heal rot at all unless it's on yourself. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And I think the concept of, rot will actually be dangerous as opposed to, I just take a bolus or I, use an incantation. That'll be fun. And I think it'd be fun too. My healer is going to be disgustingly weak and like flimsy. Like they have, I think maybe a total of 4 defense or maybe 3 defense because of the armor that they wear. And just in that manner of a well-traveled perfumer who's more focused on like their wares and their incantations and their arts as opposed to any weapon, I was initially going to do like a spear, like a short spear, because neat little moveset has like a double poke. But I decided what would fit the build better is it's the Scavenger's Curve sword, I believe, the one that does bleed. It's all jagged. They don't know how to maintain a weapon at all. So it's just this jagged piece of shit. And it's like it's essentially going to be used as like a backup. So like I'll have my seal in my right hand and a perfumer shield in my left. That way I'll be able to cast a like a circle of healing, whatever it's called. So it's like extra healing in that way. So I'm looking forward to that. It'll be a lot of fun. I also did a D&D run for Dark Souls 2, but the servers went down, Elden Ring came out. So we haven't been able to continue it, but let's see. That was me as a Final Fantasy XIV kind of dancer. Just the general aspect of it. So like I tried to use the flashiest weapons that I could, which were the Melu Scimitar for one thing. I have a dagger in my one hand. Whenever I get to it in the DLC, that segmented sword, the puzzling stone sword, since that has the pretty little spins to it. And like I have a very like I guess like Arabian sort of look to my character, so I'm wearing what is it? I'm wearing the Saint's hood, which would be it's been a while since I played Dark Souls 2. Trying to remember the names. The cleric from Lindelt, her name starts with an L as well. I can't think of it. Like Lucinda. I can't think of her name. Oh fuck. I cannot think of her name. Anyway, her hood, the Desert Sorceress chest piece, the tits, y'all know it. The brigand trousers, and then I think I just have the starting manchette. whenever you first get the things betwixt and you have those gloves. I forget the actual name of it, but they're it is apparently manchette. I may be saying that slightly wrong. I used to think it was manchette. It's manchette. What a weird fucking name. Yeah, and then also to just be very flashy, I use pyromancies, which is more of my main thing. My other friend is this tanky cleric who is afraid of lightning, so he doesn't use any lightning incantations, miracles. Another one of my friends is a fighter again. I think he's power stancing, straight swords. And then my other friend who is doing the same thing again. They're a witch, sorceries, hexes, etc. That was a fun run. It's not done yet, but that was fun when it was going. But stuff like that is what I've been doing on Twitch for the past while. I've enjoyed that thoroughly. I should make the time to do more kind of fun runs like that. But that's the thing. I've gotten very tired and exhausted of Souls. Like Elden Ring is one thing. I'm feeling burnt out on it because I've played for so many hours at this point. I did my first playthrough on Twitch on PS5 because the PC version was very not up to snuff. It's much better now, definitely. But it's like to the point that I was not even able to stream it day one on PC, so I had to get the PS5 copy. Yes, I have a PS5. So fun story behind that. I'll make it quick. I was about to be late for work. I had my cousin driving me into work, and I was trying to grab a PS5 off of I think it was the official website, like the Sony website. If not, then it was Walmart. No, it was Sony. It was Sony. Because I contacted customer support. I got one off of Sony, off their website, and it's like I put my order in, the site kept loading and loading and loading because there were so many people, and I thought my order didn't get in. I checked my bank statement. I had money taken out for a price of a PS5. I go to support, and I'm like, is this order actually through? And they said, yes. So I have incredible luck at times. To the point that I'm very decent at guessing gotcha, and one of my friends can attest to this because he likes to contact me and be like, hey, I'm gonna pull this thing from this gotcha game that I really want. I'm gonna need your luck. And I take this very seriously. I try to channel my luck into his pulls, and I try to think about what he wants. I try to think about him, and so like he gave me a week's time in advance. This was just recent. He gave me a week's time in advance to give as much luck as I could. And like before bed, I would start thinking about it. I was like, okay, my friend wants this character. He wants this character. And what do you fucking know? He pulled it. I also have pretty decent luck with random box pulls. So during this one anime convention many years back, my cousin and our one friend, they wanted these Pokemon like glass bulb box pulls, and they asked me, which they should get, and it's like I felt them, closed my eyes, I really thought about it, and I was like, here, not this one, and I pulled out another one, and I was like, yeah, this one I think might have this or this, and this one will have this, and they pay for them, walk away, they open them up, and I was 100% right, and they were both satisfied. So I have very ridiculous luck sometimes. I don't know what the deal is, but I truly feel, also jokingly of course, but I feel that I can channel my luck, and I can really focus it when I really need to. That being said, I have a limit to my luck. I like to joke about. So like, if I start having bad luck, or just I can't quite feel it, it's like, oh well, I used all my luck up for this month or for this week. It's a joke, of course, but it's magical thinking in a way, I guess. It's positive reinforcement. I don't know what I was talking about before. Souls games. I don't know how I got into that, but Souls games, yeah. I am very, very burnt out with Souls. I guess we let's go through all of them. I suppose. Let's see, Demon Souls, the remake or just the original. I'm not like super burnt out on that, but just the general Souls vibe. Dark Souls 1. Not terribly burnt out on, but it's like I've played that through for like over, I think like 700 hours, maybe close to 1,000 at this point. I've done a lot. I've done a lot of different builds. I've started the game over and over, and it's like going through the same shit over and over and over. It just gets very tiring. You could apply that to really any Souls game, even Elden Ring to that point. It's like, sure, you can write torrent like almost from the get-go, but you know, still, it's like just the same thing over and over and over. Dark Souls 2. I played Dark Souls 2 so much. I still love Dark Souls 2. It's probably still my favorite Souls game. I know that's a shock. I really, really like Dark Souls 2. It had so much variety before Elden Ring really gave you a lot of variety too. It's like you could do a lot with builds in Dark Souls 2. Things were actually good. Like sorcery, miracles, pyromancy, hexes. And then Dark Souls 3 happened, and every sorcery and miracle and pyromancy and hexes died. They were just all terrible. You could not use them in like PvP. And even then in the PvE, they weren't like super great unless you went really hard into like, oh, I got my, red tear stone ring. I'm at, lowest health I can be. I dragon roar or whatever. And it's just like, that's no fun. I mean, it is in its own right, but it's like if I have to upkeep that just like to, oh, look at it, I one-shotted the boss. It's like, well, all right. I want to play the game, like actually be able to do damage. Also, Elden Ring's casting with like staffs is just, it feels so much better because you just, you swing it or like you flick your wrist. And in Souls, you raise your arm up, you shake your staff, and then the thing comes out. I can't tell you how much I actually fucking hate that animation. It looks so stupid. Let me know if anybody else agrees with me. But speaking of Dark Souls 3 as well, I'm curious. I've talked about with my Twitch chat about this on length, and the people on my Discord as well, about Dark Souls 3, and so y'all know, of course, I've made a lot of Dark Souls 3 videos. I've played Dark Souls 3 a lot. I talked about that D&D run I did in Dark Souls 3. I have over here, I will get you an exact. Yeah, I have nearly 1,300 hours in Dark Souls 3. I have 1,292 hours, 0.4. I've played Dark Souls 3 a lot. I made a lot of builds. I made a lot of content and videos. I mentioned in the Fashion Souls video, which 4 years ago also, the one more final, Fashion Souls 5. I mentioned that I felt like I had been through every fashion and just nothing interested me anymore. Part of that, too, was just, the burnout I was feeling. I played Dark Souls 3 to fucking hell and back. I made so many builds. And I still remember to this day that somebody had mentioned on that video that they disagreed with me and that, there were still interesting fashions. It's like, I'm sorry, that's an opinion I have. You can't change my mind on that. It's like, I made these videos. I'd seen all these fashions. I experienced it all. I got it all. There's some neat stuff, but there wasn't a lot that would really interest me anymore that I would want to make another one. And it's like people are like, oh yeah, if you make Fashion Souls 6, here's a submission. It's like, look, I wholeheartedly appreciate your enthusiasm, especially for anybody checking out those old videos well after they were released. I really do appreciate it. But there is never going to be a Fashion Souls 6 for Dark Souls 3. It's not going to happen. And it shouldn't. Why should it? I mean, Dark Souls 3, it's had its time. I did all I could with Dark Souls 3. I don't want to make content for Dark Souls 3 anymore. Which is to say, what I'm wondering is if anybody else feels the same way about Dark Souls 3. Like, I hesitate to say that, and I really do, because I don't. But whenever I talk about Dark Souls 3, it sounds like I hate Dark Souls 3. I don't hate Dark Souls 3, but I'm almost tempted to say that I hate Dark Souls 3. From the way, as I was saying before, sorceries and miracles work, and how they're just so weak, how everything's, all redone and reused, and just it's a rehash of Dark Souls 1 from, so many characters, and it's like, partially, of course, that's the point. This is the final game in the series, in the Souls series. You're bringing back all these old things, some of them from Dark Souls 2. And you're bringing back literally some characters just mixed together. Solaire and Siegmeyer being Siegward. And then just the setting itself, there's no color to Dark Souls 3. Like, really think about Dark Souls 3 and think how muted and unsaturated all of the colors look. And then look at Elden Ring. Think how colorful and varied that is. Even Dark Souls 2 to that point. I joke all the time, too, about how, patchworked Dark Souls 3 can feel when it's, you go from Harvest Valley to Earthen Peak, and then you go to a volcano and a lava lake from an elevator on a tower that literally goes into the sky, but clearly has a stopping point. Like, they didn't think when they put these levels together about how they would actually work together. And, some people will argue too, oh, but it feels very dreamlike, and it's meant to be like this. You can say whatever you want. It doesn't make it any better. You are not going to tell me that this was they did that for a reason. It was intentional to make it feel dreamlike. I've heard people say it makes it feel dreamlike, and that's the point of Dark Souls 2, that these levels are all patchwork together for a specific reason. Dude, you can just admit it's not great design. Like, I said Dark Souls 2 is probably still my favorite Souls game, even after Elden Ring. And I fucking love Elden Ring. I'd say that's probably my second favorite. I love Dark Souls 2, and I'm willing to critique it. If you love something, you also have to be able to critique it. Even with, my favorite game of all time is Resident Evil 4. There's the remake coming out, and I'll see how that is, but OG Resident Evil 4, I love. I have put many, 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 many hours into that. I've done, 20 plus playthroughs, probably even more than that, because I played it on PC, the OG PC version, the HD PC version, and on PS2, I played it a lot. And I know that game has some issues, like the island section. I'm not a big fan of the island, especially towards the end of the game where you're fighting all of the zombie-like enemies, the Ganado. They're all militarized, and you have to spend 20 minutes RNG depending on the helicopter pilot, Mike, to be like, yeah, goddamn scumbags, because you're waiting for him to fire a missile to clear the path so you can fucking run forward. It just feels like a slog, especially the section prior was the castle, which is the best part of the game, because you have a tiny man and his two bug-like guards that follow him around, and just, man, the cheese was on point. But again, I love Resident Evil 4. That's my favorite game of all time forever. That's not going to change. And I can still critique it. Just as with Dark Souls 2, you don't have to defend it at every turn. Everything has problems. Everything is worthy of critique. It's fair to say you have issues with something. With Dark Souls 3, I feel like it has no color. It feels very muted, which is, in turn, it's a tonal way to say, hey, the world is it's an apocalyptic setting when you really look at it. Like, more so than Dark Souls 1, than Dark Souls 2, than Elden Ring. There is an apocalypse going on. The end of the world is literally happening in Dark Souls 3. You see it happen. You are there for it. Dark Souls 1, the world is dying, but there's still life there. There's still color. Same with Dark Souls 2. You're in this dead world, but there's still life. There's still color. In Dark Souls 3, everything just feels very muted and dead, and that is a tonal point to it, but it doesn't make it, any more fun to me when I've done it so many times. It's not to say like, oh, I always hated Dark Souls 3. No, it's over time, after playing it for so long, I started to harbor these opinions, and now I can't get them out of my mind. And it's like, I don't want to play Dark Souls 3. I don't want to do anything with Dark Souls 3. I'm so disgustingly tired of Dark Souls 3. So I don't know if anybody feels this way. Of course, that also attests to, burnout with games in specific, like with Elden Ring right now. Like, I'm not going to hate Elden Ring. Hopefully I don't. But if I play it and play it and play it, then yeah, I definitely probably will. Maybe not to the same extent, because there's a lot more going on in Elden Ring. There's color. But I'm very burnout on From Software Souls games. Maybe not the entire genre, but I'm a burnout on that. Which I guess now is a good time as any, and I wanted to do this earlier, not like an hour into talking. Talk about Elden Ring a little bit. My first playthrough. So my first playthrough, I started as what was it, the Church Assassin, or whatever the class name is. And by the end of the playthrough, I was going for like heavy usage of fire incantations, and like my main build at this point is I have the look of a cultist. I keep telling myself I'm wearing the Godskin Apostle hood, not the noble one, by the way, the good one, the Apostle version, the skinny one. I'm wearing the hood. I'm wearing the Black Flame Monk chest piece, which a lot of people wear. That really just is fucking styling. Wearing the Vagabond gauntlets and the scaled leggings, which go with a lot of chest pieces, I have to say. A lot of armor in that game. Also, also sad to say that I'm sure people have noticed, but it's very hard to match a lot of armors in that game. The colors are very varied, so to speak. Like you can match up, like some of the like black armor pieces somewhat, but it's like at this point I'm just like, you kind of have to just accept that, this isn't going to match super great. It still might look fine. You just have to accept it's not, it's not the same color, and just go with it, honestly. As opposed to, frankly, any of the other Souls games. Like Dark Souls 1 had its issues with some armors being too shiny. Dark Souls 2, everything kind of matches everything. Dark Souls 2 has peak fashion. And then Dark Souls 3 had pretty great fashion, and all matched pretty well. But Elden Ring, it's hard to match some of those armor sets. Anyway, so yeah, I looked like a cultist by the end of it, using flame incantations and just incantations. That was really my... I got to the point where I wasn't using weapons as often, and I'd use incantations, like Catch Flame. Catch Flame is fucking amazing, by the way. And it's like one of the first incantations you can get. I did not know this until recently, but you can get that... you can get Catch Flame as a whatever the cleric class is, starting class in Elden Ring. It's really, really good. I don't know what else to say. I put almost 200 hours. I think I got 175 hours. I think it was 185. Was my first playthrough. Exploring that world was amazing. By far, you can really tell that From took all of their inspirations and everything they learned and culminated in this game, and it really can't show anymore. Um, Now, granted, as I said before, with all, you can have critiques about games and still love them. You should critique games that you love. It does get tiring seeing the same bosses in the same places. I will say here, one spoiler, by the way, for Elden Ring, is the Estelle. Why does Estelle show up in two places? I'm still not understanding why. I get why Estelle shows up in Ronnie's questline. I don't know why it shows up in the consecrated snowfield in some random snow mine. Like, as something that fell from the stars and beyond, and it ended up and people are mining it out, that makes sense. Why is it there? I don't know. However, that arena is pretty cool, I will say. Also because it's ice. So it's cool. Speaking of as well, I am not ashamed to admit at all, Ronnie is a best waifu. I will not apologize. Rai is also very cute. She is precious. I thoroughly enjoyed Elden Ring. I don't have many complaints, but one of the complaints is the reused bosses. Seeing and many people may not know about this, but at the end of the game, the final area in the capital, and I mean like at the end of the game in the final area at the capital, there is a spot that, I am not kidding, if you're not aware, has 4 ulcerated tree spirits that pop out of the ground. And it's like, did you give up? Who thought this was a good idea? Why would you want to do this? There are 4 ulcerated tree spirits. They aren't weak shit either. They are all fucking strong, to the point that I used up like all of my FP just killing like, I think 2.5. And I was using fire incantations. Like, holy shit. So Elden Ring has its problems, but combat feels good. Incantations and sorceries are very, very strong. I'm extremely happy about that. The variety too, and some of them are just used for, what is it? I can't think of the word, but they have just other uses besides just, combat. Like, there's darkness, for example. They're utility spells almost, I think is what I want to say. Like darkness, which is very good. You can sneak away from enemies and it will just stop aggroing on you. There's Assassin's Gambit, I think. I think that's the one I'm thinking of, where you can fire out this little, like, this little sperm cloud that an enemy will aggro on if they're humanoid, and they'll just attack. Stuff like that. Like, I really enjoy utility spells for, runs like my D&D run, where it's like, oh, now we have a reason to not use like a torch, and instead we use the mage light or cast light, spell, and just stuff like that. Like, it gives it a point. It has utility. It's not, necessarily useful, but you can use it in, situations like that. I'd have to say, I think my favorite boss in the game, I'm going to list off some spoilers for like the next 20 seconds, so just FYI if you want to skip forward. Estelle, Natural Born of the Stars, or the Void, sorry. Ratigan and the Elden Beast, those are also really good. I think one of my favorites is the noble, the God Skin Apostle, not the noble. By the way, I too tried the duo of the noble and the apostle. I had heard horror stories about them being really bad, and I had done that before it was patched to fix, the 2 boss AI. So, because I noticed in quite a few of the bosses that one of them stays back, one of them will attack you, and then they'll flip flop. Because like the gargoyles at the waterfall underground, they did they did that. It's like, that was very noticeable. I was like, I see. So it's like less stressful. And From recently fixed the AI for a lot of the bosses, so they all follow that pattern, because apparently they all didn't. But the Postal and the Noble weren't that bad. I too tried it. Also, I for the majority of my playthrough, I used it once because I kept hearing how powerful it was, and I was like, I don't want to use this. I want to try other things, as opposed to every streamer or everybody playing. You're gonna see him using, the one Ash, the one that everybody uses. You know what I'm going towards. The Mimic tier, the Mimic Ash. I used it once. I was like, yeah, this is neat, but everybody's using this, and I don't want to be with the crowd. I want to try something else. My favorite Ash summon is Latenna, the Albanarch, because she willingly gives herself to you, and the description even says, not many things willingly give themselves up to be ashes. I like her little backstory. The fact that she gave herself to the player, it's very sweet. And she's really strong. She fires at a fucking far distance. I don't know if you've tried her. She cannot move unless she's riding, like a wolf. But she's very good. She's extremely powerful when you upgrade her enough. She could be a great distraction. So just some scattered random thoughts about Elden Ring. I very much enjoyed it. If y'all want to mention anything, if you're at this point in the video, podcast, if you want to mention anything about Elden Ring, then by all means, go ahead. I'd be interested to hear some of y'all's opinions, because I put out a community post a few months ago asking if people had played it, how many hours did they finish out on, because I'm sorry, somebody that finished Elden Ring in like 30 to 50 hours, what the fuck is wrong with you? You did not enjoy the game. You did not see everything as much as you could. You gotta be fucking kidding. But the vast majority of people, what was it? Yeah, 43% said they just haven't played it yet. 29% said around 50 hours. I don't believe you, but okay. 14 said around 150 hours, and 14% said 200 plus hours, which rightfully so. I can't imagine rushing through that game and beating it in less than, on your first playthrough, I should say. On your first playthrough, beating it at around 50 hours. Like, holy fuck. That's ridiculous. Oh. Let's move on to, let's move on to, I've talked long enough. Let's move on to stuff moving forward with this channel. I'll skip some stuff. There'll be other times to talk about things, I'm sure. If this goes over well enough, maybe I'll talk a bit more every so often. We'll see. Moving forward with this channel, as I try to wrap up this lengthy video podcast thing that I was hopefully intending to only be like an hour. I talked at length about work. Work is draining. Work sucks. Nobody likes work. Moving forward with this channel, and part of this comes from even this, me making this video, like I said at the beginning, came from one of my close friends who I've known for like over 10 years at this point, saying that it's a real shame that I sit on my channel with the following that I have, and the views that I get, and I'd be inclined to agree. It's just the motivation to want to actually do anything, and then also, of course, just coming back to it. It's like I put out those like the Smiling Friends shorts, and those were fun. Those did much better on Twitter, by the way. They got like upwards of like 15k likes, 20k likes, I think, on the one. And then I put out the one Elden Ring video I've done so far on my bow build. Bows are pretty fun in Elden Ring. They're not as good as Dark Souls 2, but they have more movement than they did even in Dark Souls 3. So it's like it works and it doesn't. And I've done a bow run from start to finish in Dark Souls 2, even through the DLC. I did Frigid Outskirts. I summoned for Frigid Outskirts. Like I summoned the NPCs, but I did Frigid Outskirts. I had this terrible side bit. I had this terrible hatred towards Frigid Outskirts, which is the Elam Lois bit. You know, with the tigers and Horsefuck Valley, I like to call it. This terrible hatred towards Horsefuck Valley, and until my cousin Rachel had played through this DLC for the first time, and she likes summoning, so she summoned. Until I'd seen her summon, and for one thing, because of Scholar of the First Sin, you can summon 3. And back when I first played Dark Souls 2, Ivory King DLC, and which is actually on this channel too. There is a playlist you can find to see my first playthrough. It is very old, of course. But I did not finish Horsefuck Valley, at least on my first playthrough. I went back to it eventually. I did it a few times and just begrudgingly, and just because what it ends up being is, and I counted, it is a 12-minute run if you stop and run, just so that way you don't have a bunch of horses fucking following you. You have to stop when the blizzard happens, fight the one horse in this little tiny area, and then whenever it stops, you run again, and then stop, and then run, and then stop. That takes 12 minutes every time. Every attempt to fight Lud and Zalin, that is 12 minutes of your life you are losing. But seeing my cousin do that, and she, summoned and whatnot, I think she did it first try, because they buffed the summons, and also you can summon fucking 3 people as opposed to the 2 you could before. Because I think you can summon Manhunter O'Hara, some cleric woman, I forget her name, and you can summon Vengarl. Before, you could only summon Vengarl and the cleric woman. Manhunter only existed, or came out in Scholar. Excuse me. So it's like I went back to in my bow build. I summoned all the summons, and it's like they beefed them up. For one thing, they're much stronger than they were whenever the DLC first released. And they actually lived. And it's like, I fucking did Lud and Zalin one try on my bow build with these 3 summons. And I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, no wonder she had such an easy time. This is laughably easy now compared to when it released. So it's like, I still hate Horsefuck Valley. It's a fucking waste of 12 minutes. But I'm not concerned about Horsefuck Valley anymore. Because even with whichever cat it is that goes into its berserk phase, and it regens health and it gets stronger and whatnot, even with that, it's not so bad because of those summons. Otherwise, it's not a great fight if you do it solo. It sucks, especially when you have to redo it, and then you waste 20 plus minutes on just 2 attempts. I don't like Horsefuck Valley, but I don't hate it as much as I did. But I still do hate it. Anyway. Forgot how I got into that. But future stuff moving forward. Future projects I've thought about were doing a Fashion Souls / Elden Bling, which I fucking hate that name. I want to make it clear. I will title my video, if I make it, I will title it Fashion Souls / Elden Bling. I fucking hate Elden Bling. That sounds so bad. Fashion Souls isn't great, but it doesn't fucking suck. Just my personal opinion on that. Anyway, I've thought maybe I'll do a video like that. Maybe I'll do like a couple videos. Like I'll do one being like, hey, here's fashion. Remember I did fashion? I was the Fashion Souls guy, as some people refer to me as. And then like I'll take some community submissions and I'll do some stuff like that. Maybe. I said I would maybe do that for Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2's cheat engine is very hard to work with, especially the free cam, in my opinion. It's not as easy as it was and is in Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 3's cheat engine is very easy to work with. I had mentioned the possibility of maybe doing Bloodborne. There's not a lot in Bloodborne. Really not a lot of fashion in Bloodborne at all. It's there, but there's not a lot. There's not a lot of combinations you could do. And then Demon Souls Remake. I actually have not beaten Demon Souls Remake. I still have not done the Shrine of Storms. I've not done that, and I've not beaten the game. I've beaten Demon Souls on the PS3, I think once, and then I streamed like 3 years ago, I think. I streamed Demon Souls on the PC, upscaled to like 2K. It looks gorgeous, and it plays at 60 FPS without like any issues. It was really, really, really fun. But I did not hate Demon Souls Remake at all. It's just I just never finished it, and I haven't gone back to it, which I really probably should at some point, because it's not like I didn't have fun. What a good looking game, by the way. While that game has, Gramfix, it's got the Gramfix. Elden Ring has, art direction and style. I would definitely say. So like the comparison of like, Demon Souls Remake looks better and from shit. It's like, shut up. Art direction. Eat dick. If you're into that. Another project. And actually I was suggested a couple months ago. Really made me think. And I think this is something I would love to do in the future. Is I'd like to remake my Berserk PS2 opening in Elden Ring. For those of you not aware, which I don't know how you wouldn't be, because it's like it's my highest viewed video. It has 44,000 views. It is my it's my channel trailer. But yes, words. I'd like to remake that because I still consider that to some extent to be like my magnum opus. Like there are things that I could very much improve, especially now that for one thing, I'm a professional video editor. That means I do it for a living. And it would also look a lot nicer too, just in general with the quality, not even just with my editing style improving and like my knowledge of editing improving. Because I've definitely learned a lot of things this past year on just things to improve. Like I learned masking. Masking is a lot of fun. It's when you take like one thing, you cut it out of a video, make the background aside from that like black, and then you just overlay it onto another thing. That's a lot of fun. I love masking. And in turn, it makes people really happy every time I do it, and it does make me also quite a bit of money. It just adds to my time. So it's like, by all means, I'll do masking when I can, and I'm able to. The more complex a joke is, the more I'm going to get paid. It's essentially how it goes, because I get paid by the hour. I have rates. I have a website. I made a website about a couple weeks ago, finally. I'll go ahead and link that. There's a link to my portfolio, my rates, my commission info, all that fun stuff. I did pretty good. I haven't heard any complaints about my website. And actually, it's part of the reason I got to be able to work with Peeve, because he was like, oh shit, you made that like this week? That was really good timing. And he looked at my shit, and I'm working for him now. So yeah. So yeah, the Berserk PS2 opening remake, that'd be something I'd be interested in doing at some point. Because I stared at pixels, and I spent like I think it was like 3.5 days, maybe 4. It says in like the description, I'm pretty sure, of that video. I spent a lot of time working on this video, and it really came out really well. And like I consider it in a way my personal projects, I consider it my magnum opus. I still have plenty more that I want to make that would definitely be better than that at this point, I can confidently say. But at this current point, that's my magnum opus. What could potentially be my final true magnum opus of all the things I've made is really it's a pipe dream project that I've thought about for about the past 2 years. Some of y'all may have seen it. I posted it in community a long while ago. But I would like to make what I consider to be, I would like to make the longest Dark Souls 2 review / retrospective video on YouTube. And I've looked at quite a few. I've seen the lengths for them, even whether or not it's in like parts. Like I cannot remember the name of the guy because I'd seen it so many years ago when I had the idea. But he did like segmented parts of this retrospective, and it ended up being just towards him responding to videos and him responding to comments and people's critiques about his opinion. And I would like to make it focused on this review / retrospective. I would want to encompass every fucking thing I can about Dark Souls 2, from the game's creation to the lore, to how it plays compared to the other games, to the bugs, to builds, cut content, as much as I possibly and feasibly could. But with that, of course, comes a disgusting amount of research, and that's the part that I get tired when I think about it. That would be the amount of research I'd have to do for one thing, and then the script writing as well. I'd be writing a fucking book with all the amount of work that I'd have to do. Because when I put the time together for the one guy's critiques and, put all the time together, I think it was like 9 or 10 hours in total. So I want to make the definitive longest Dark Souls 2 review retrospective. So it's like nobody will ever make a video longer than this, I guarantee. So I want to make it 12 hours. Like I said, this is why it's a pipeline, pipe dream pipe project. Sorry. It'll be a lot of time. It'll be a huge time investment, and I'd have to commit a lot of myself to it. And I don't know if I have all the motivation to actually do that. Because, again, even with all the time in the world to do whatever I want, my own schedule with how I work, I can enjoy myself. I can read. I can exercise. This compared to how I was working at my custodial job in the past, when I never felt like I had time, I now feel like I have the time to read. I've wanted to learn Japanese for a long while, and I was doing that at my custodial job on like breaks, but like now I have the time to actually sink into it, to like sit down and be like, okay, given enough time, I can, an investment, I can't actually learn this, because a lot of the media, I consume is from Japan, whether that's the companies or the occasional anime that I watch. People may consider me a weeb. I like the Japanese culture. I don't watch a lot of anime. You could probably still consider me a weeb, just on the basis that I read more mangas than I actually watch anything. It's very rare for me to watch, or not very rare, but it's very uncommon for me to watch shows, especially at a decent pace. And that goes for a lot of media in general. I don't like binging things, because it's like I'd rather be doing something like playing games or anything else rather than just sitting here and watching and doing nothing. Like I feel like I'm not using my time in that way. But God forbid, I'll play video games all day, because at least I'm doing something actively and I'm working towards something, even if it, doesn't necessarily have any IRL benefits of me sitting there for 6 hours. So you can think of me as a weeb as much as you want. I'm not a super weeb. I just like the culture. I like the culture. I like the language. I like how it sounds. That's why I want to learn Japanese. I consume a lot of media from there, but not a lot of anime. Which I feel somewhat goes hand in hand with being a weeb. It's like, oh, you watch a lot of anime. Again, not saying that I'm not a weeb. Maybe just somewhat less of a weeb. Or maybe just a weeb in a different category. But probably not. I'm probably just trying to... just trying to say I'm not a weeb. Yeah. That's why I say motivation. Gotta have motivation. I need motivation to do things. I don't always have the motivation, especially long-term motivation. That's not easy to do. That's not easy to come by, especially working on projects like these. On something on the horizon, though, I do have... I have this Elden Ring farming video that I've been sitting on, and I've scripted, I've recorded the audio already, and I have the video for it recorded as well. I need to edit it and put together, and I'm at the point where I've gotten past the first quarter of it, and like all the jokes and editing bits I can do with it, and now it's kind of just like bit after bit after bit of just, here's how you do this, here's how you do this, here's how you do this. Because what it is like farming the rarer gear in Elden Ring, or just some of them anyway, because there's quite a lot. There's stuff that I missed that I did not know existed until like a month and a half ago. Like there in Elden Ring, there is a great shield that has it's an ant head. I did not know that was a thing. Also, another great example. I did not know you could get the one of the weapons from the Clean Rot Knights. Which one was that? The spear. I did not know you could get the spear from the Clean Rot Knights. Until I'd seen somebody like, oh, whoa, there's one weapon that you missed, bro! And it's like, to be fair, this feels like clickbait, but it wasn't clickbait because I actually never had seen this weapon and I did not know you could get it. Why is it that you can only get some weapons off of very specific enemies? Why did you do that from? Because I fought the Clean Rot Knight in Mikola's gay little tree outside of the prayer room. I fought that plenty of times, but you can't get it from them. You can only get... frankly, I think you can only get the armor set off of them there. I don't even think you can get the Halo Scythe or their thrusting sword. It's weird. But that's what I have moving forward, at the very least. So, maybe some Fashion Souls / Elden Bling. That Berserk PS2 opening remake. The Dream. The Pipe Dream retrospective, the 12-hour Dark Souls 2 video. And maybe I've thought about making highlights out of my D&D runs, like in Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3. I think the Dark Souls 3 one might be a little too old at this point, but I'm not super sure. I guess I'll start closing this out with speaking of streaming. I've had a bit of burnout with streaming. So for live streaming on Twitch, for me, the main reason that I enjoy doing it is I like talking to people. I like to, and I mentioned this earlier, I like to also be able to sit there, put down the controller, sit my character down, take in the view, and then just talk. And I'll do this for maybe like 15 to 20 minutes. Just hang out, just talk with the chat. Lately, I feel like I've been getting less viewership, and I thought it was because I was being inconsistent when I streamed, like not on the same day, because I was streaming at the same times when I did stream, But that ended up not being the case, or whether it was just the game I was playing wasn't super interesting. It could be either of those factors. But regardless, I mean, I haven't been getting as many viewers as I did. And for the people that say, me and my friend had talked about this the night prior to me recording this now. We had talked about, sure, you can say, oh, even if I stream to like one person, then it's worth it still. I'm sorry, it's no. Like, you can't say that and just continue to stream and 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 not have some sort of, demotivation, unmotivation. You feel unmotivated to keep going when it's that one viewer and nobody else shows up and nobody new shows up. And for me, if it's 1-2 viewers, and sure, they're lurking, and lurkers are a backbone of every stream, I will say that forever. However, my enjoyment from streaming comes from being able to talk to people. If nobody's talking in my chat for long periods of time, then I am much more inclined to stop the stream sooner, depending on what I am playing. Or just even rethink, why am I playing this game to begin with if it's not getting any viewership? Like, I could have the same people that I always see, the same like 4 people that I always see, watch my stream and never get another new viewer, if only they would talk all the time. If they would talk and we could just chat and we could talk about the game, we could talk about real world shit and what's going on, then I would never have an issue. But of course, not everybody can sit there and chat on the stream. I lurk in a lot of streams that I do. I chat every so often, but I'm usually not somebody who will be actively engaged in the conversation if it's like somebody who has like 500 or like 1,000 viewers. Generally, unless the streamer is really, really good at reading chat. Great example is somebody who I may be potentially working with, cross my fingers on that, An Eternal Enigma. He does a lot of like Silent Hill speedruns, and he plays some new games every now and again. But he's mostly known as a speedrunner. I don't like watching speedrunners, but he has such a fun energy to him, even with all the repeated sound effects that I initially was turned off from. He has a very nice community. He tries to read chat when he has like 900 to 1,000 plus people in chat. And it's like, it's manageable for him. And he's very interactive. And he talks to people. So streaming is a way I use to interact with people when, I live alone. I live in my own house. It is a house. It's not an apartment. I have great rent. I live across the street from the house that I grew up in as a teenager. When my mom lived in, and then she moved away, and I moved over here. I've known the landlords for 11 plus years. I got a good deal. I live in a house. It has a basement. It has a second floor. I got a good deal going on, especially in this market for as terrible as the renters market is right now. And I truly feel for anybody having to put up with, 1,000 plus a month for rent, and you're living in fucking just the dregs of the renting market. I feel for you so bad, and I'm so sorry that you have to live in possibly a not great place or in a not great area. That comes into my luck. Like I talked about before, I'm very lucky that this house stayed open and unrented for so many years that I was able to go in, and it got refurbished. Refurbished house, and I get to live in it for very, very cheap. It's $600 a month, and I pay utilities, which usually is about like $150. It's a really good deal. I'm very thankful. I'm very lucky. Forgot what I was talking about again. I'm really, really good at that. I'm going to go ahead and I think wrap this up because I did not expect to be talking for 2 hours at all. But I hope y'all have enjoyed this. I hope maybe this somewhat explains if you've listened to this long. I hope this explains why I've been so uninterested in doing content for YouTube or making anything new for the past 4 years. Too long didn't watch. I felt very burnt out on a lot of things. I didn't have a lot of time, I felt, to do anything after work. And now that I have the time, it's a lack of motivation. I can have all the time in the world. I'm not super motivated to do much right now. But notifications all over the place. Good Lord. I hope at least with this video, it can come across as, an understanding for the people, again, that watch this long, or listen this long, really. And maybe it can help you think about, your current position or what you're doing right now. Because it's not for everybody, but if you're able to, make your own living, earn your own wage, it's very much worth doing. As opposed to, being under somebody's thumb or having to work in a place you don't like with people you don't like. It's, sure, I'm not getting, the same amount of money that I did working as, a custodian for a school district. I don't have benefits, but I haven't had like health benefits and insurance for the majority of my life. So it's really nothing new. And I'm stubborn to the point that I try to avoid getting hurt and sick when I can. That would send me to an emergency room or get me in some kind of trouble where like I have health problems. Just how my family is. But sure, the pay isn't as good, but it's about how is it? I heard this recently from Excessive Profanity, I believe. It's the matter of the quality of life to the quality of living and your mental health, of course, as well. Because sure, you could be making so much money and have so much money put away. But if you're miserable at your job, then it's like, it's not even worth it. Or if you're overworking yourself too, and trying to be, noble about it and thinking, you're well respected in your job. It's just because you do your work and you're less lazy than your other coworkers. There are merits, and I'm not saying that, that's like having a good job ethic isn't worth it, because, it is. You should. It's just sacrificing your well-being for a job that could not give two fucks about you shouldn't be how you live. You should work to live, not live to work. I'm sure that's, people have heard that time and time again. But I can say at this point, like, I get depression every so often, sure. But it comes in, small bouts every, maybe once or up to 3 times a year, sure. That I'll like genuinely feel really depressed. I could be not in a great mood or not want to do anything or just be kind of unmotivated or a little sad, sure. But full-on depression doesn't usually hit me all that often. And I felt miserable in my last jobs and working on my own time and my own schedule, being at home too. I've always dreamed of working from home. And actually being able to do that is wonderful. And it improved my mental health a significant amount. Also my physical health. Like I said, I was having panic attacks at my old jobs because of the amount of stress that I had. I was extremely upset, and I feel a lot better now. I feel a lot more relaxed. I can wake up early in the morning of my own accord, be on an actual like decent schedule of, like go to bed at like 2 or 4 a.m., wake up still like 7 a.m. to like 10 a.m., get up, just not have to worry about having to rush out the door immediately. I can like go outside and enjoy the sun, just enjoy living. It's corny, but when you're able to not have that load on your back and you're able to make your own schedule and you're just able to take a deep breath, it's very, very comforting. And I hope that this isn't to say, you should quit your job, but I hope that people who are working not so great jobs right now can find some sort of peace, and especially so that they don't get stuck in dead-end jobs or jobs that just like, this is it, this is what I'll do until I retire. And at this point, like, retirement, it's like, at least for me, if I worked a normal job, I'd be retiring at like 70. Like, the age is only getting higher because people are living longer. Or at least, as the generations go on, people will live longer. Like, right now, you're seeing a lot of, like, older folk dies, and it's like, sure, you could say, like, oh, well, what about, that? Well, they're older. They're from a past generation. As we move forward, better healthcare. Not more available, but better. People will just start to live longer. So retirement will be farther and farther away. I'm going to retire when I'm 100, and then I'll have 1 year. Like, that used to be my prospect. People are like, oh, you're going to be here for 40 years. You're 20 now. I'm almost 20. Next month, I'm going to be 25. July 2nd, I'm going to be 25. And man, feeling old. I'm starting to feel old. I for people that are older, like, oh, please wait till you get my age. I get it, my guy. I'm young, but I'm starting to feel old. It will not fully hit me that, man, I am actually really old until I hit 40. Truly. But as I keep in my mind, almost constantly, unfortunately, life is very fleeting, and people that will not be around forever. So keep your relationships close and enjoy the people. Enjoy yourself. Remember, it's cheesy, sure, it's been said plenty of times, but work to live. Don't live to work. I know people that live to work, and they will work themselves into a grave. They will die in the building that they are working in. Or for like one of my landlords, he worked to the point that he had a stroke, and now he can't really work. So at the very least, I hope he can take a step back and, enjoy himself, as much as he can. But it's about the positive things. Try to keep positive. If you're suffering now or having a not such a great time, know that this too will pass, and soon enough you'll be in a better state. The end of December of last year, I had barely any money in my bank account. I had less than $100, and even now I'm still working, almost from paycheck to paycheck, every month with all my editing. It's like I said, that quality of life versus the quality of living. It's like I may not have the most expensive things, and, I may not always have all the food that I want, but my mental health and my well-being is much better than it was working as a custodian for a really shitty district. So just try to keep your head up and look towards the future. Things will improve. Myself, I'm with all the work that I'm getting now, and I'm actually about at the point that I may take on one or two more clients and then actually be good and be able to work these, every month and actually be able to start putting away money, which is something I haven't been able to do for a long while. So by the end of this year, I should be in pretty good shape, and just look towards the future. Try to be hopeful. That's all I can say. Keep your head up. things will improve before long. No matter how long it takes, things will get better. So, take time for yourself. Do what you want. Cook, read, learn a language, enjoy games with friends, take time, enjoy life outside, get some sun. And, of course, take care of yourself. That's by all means the most important part. Because you can hold up the people around you, sure, but at some point, you need to really realize that, you need to care for yourself. So with that being said, let me round this off with, truly round this off with, if you made it to the end, tell me about a piece of media you've been enjoying recently. Whether it's a game, a book, a TV show, a streaming show, an anime, audio book. I don't know. I want to know how many people actually made it to the end of this and listen to the whole thing. And if you want to just spout out a bunch of stuff below in the comment section about like every topic that I talked about, and just by all means, I like having discussions like that, and I do read all my comments. It's not like I usually get a ton, and I doubt a video like this length will get a ton of views. Though I have noticed that people nowadays really tend to like long form content. Granted, this is very simple content, but it's long. It's not well edited. It's long though. So I hope y'all that did take my advice, I hope y'all enjoyed it as like a podcast, something to put on the background while I talk. And if there's interest, I wouldn't mind talking some more. Maybe not like a weekly podcast thing, but I don't mind talking to y'all. Yeah, I think that's about all I got after 2 hours and 7 minutes, and that's probably all the talking I'm going to do today. Again, I live alone, so I have a lizard. That's my only companion, and he is an old dude. He's a golden gecko. They live about 20 years, and he is I think he's like 15 to 16, and he's still climbing all over his tank. He's been very active lately, and he's always excited whenever he gets his crickets. I love my boy Freddy. Anyway, enjoy yourselves. Let me hear from you in the comments if you're so inclined to. If not, I understand. And I'll talk to you soon. Maybe. Probably sooner than, 4 years when you last heard my voice. All right, everybody. Take care. As I like to say on my stream, don't forget to tune out your binoculars. It's a Dark Souls 2 thing. Tune out your binoculars. And I shall see you all next time. Bye-bye. Take care. Goodbye. Farewell.